my name is Bruce Black, and I have some concerns about my little boy. When he comes home every night, he is crying and upset every night, and I don't really know what's wrong with him, but it seems like he's not happy here at school. And apparently there is another little boy that is picking on him, and well, he wants his lunch money. And I'm very concerned about my son, and I'm just wondering if there's something that the school can do about this situation. I just need some feedback from you to kind of see what can be done. I want to see my son happy, and I really just can't take his being so upset and emotional every night anymore. He is very sensitive, and I'm very concerned about my son.
I appreciate your concern. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your little boy. Could you tell me his name and the name of his teacher, please?
Well, his name is Carl Black, and his teacher's name is Mrs. LaFleur or something. I'm not really sure if that's right.
Okay. Yes. I think I remember him now. Has he told you the names of the children that are picking on him?
Yes, there are several. There's a lot. I think there's a little boy who's deaf, and he's just trying to, I think the hearing kids are trying to take advantage of my son because he is deaf, and they take his lunch money, and I'm tempted to take him to the deaf school, really, but I like him to go to school here because it's closer to my house. But if this continues, I'm going to take him to the deaf school. I'm going to remove him from this school because I'm just tired of this happening. And I've talked with the teacher several times and nothing's happened.
The teacher, did you have an interpreter, or were you just trying to communicate through writing notes?
We wrote notes back and forth. I think the teacher just thinks, oh, he's deaf, and just kind of ignores me. It's just kind of the feeling I'm getting. And a few times this has happened. It's not just one time. A few times I've tried to talk about this, and just by her facial expression, it just seems like she doesn't really care, and I've really had enough.
When you went to see her, did you make an appointment, or did you just show up?
I just showed up. I tried to call, and she just kept saying she didn't have time. It's almost like she didn't want to talk to me because I'm deaf. That's how I felt. And so I just showed up a few times, and she seemed kind of nervous about that. And I just felt like she wasn't giving me a proper answer. She was being very vague and not clear on an answer or a solution for this problem.
I'm really glad that you came to talk with me today, Mr. Clark. And I'm wondering if part of the problem is a communication problem between you and the teacher. I think in the future it would probably be a good idea for us to get an interpreter. When you meet with Mrs. Fowler, if we could get an interpreter, then I think there would be better communication between the two of you. And I will arrange for that. I would like to arrange for a meeting and hire an interpreter, and then maybe the three of us could meet. But I need some more information from you. Tell me again specifically, when did he first start to cry and complain about going to school? Tell me everything he has told you about the other boys that are picking on him. Where does it happen? When does it happen? How often does it happen? Tell me all of that information, and then we'll try to help you.
Okay. It started when school started. The first day, everything was fine. He was okay. And then the next day, he got home and he was crying. And I was trying to talk to him to find out what's going on. And we went and sat down. He was just very upset. He was just crying and very upset. And I said, you need to tell me what's going on. And he told me that the other boys were picking on him in the morning and even during class. And the teacher has seen it and would say stop, but not really be firm about it. And like I said, again, I feel like because he's deaf, she didn't do anything. And it's happened on the bus too. And the bus driver didn't do anything. And the boy, my son told me that there was a boy named Bryant, Craig, I think there was a Robbie or something. Some of the boys, the girls are nice, they're mostly boys. LJ, trying to think of who else. Oh, Kyle, or there's just 4 or 5 different boys. And it just seems like, you know, they don't know his name. They think that they can control him because he's deaf. And really, my son is very upset. Very upset. He's only 8 years old, you know, and he's young and you understand what I'm saying?
I understand a little better now. It's pretty normal for 8-year-old boys to pick on each other. And while we certainly don't want your little boy to go home and cry, it really is pretty normal for little 8-year-old boys to pick. That's kind of little boy behavior. I think a big part of the problem is that we have never had a deaf child at this school before. And so many of our children really don't understand. Do you have any ideas about how we could help our staff and our students understand more about deafness?
Maybe if you could have an adult with an interpreter and have them explain about being deaf, and have all your teachers and the principals and the staff and, you know, people who work at the school have some sort of a meeting, and the adult can explain everything. So maybe that the employees here at the school will understand deaf culture. You know, and you said, like you said, it's normal for 8-year-old boys to pick on each other, but I just think that they're picking on him more because he is deaf. You know, they try to talk to him and he can't talk, and you know, that's how I feel like, that's what I feel like is happening, is that they're picking on him because he's deaf. And you know, explaining the culture of deaf people is very important, and I think that might help bring some understanding
What
to your staff.
exactly is deaf culture? I don't think I've heard that word before.
Well, the differences between deaf and hearing people, obviously the language is different, and you know, hearing people and deaf people have a different way of mannerisms. The languages are completely different. I mean, really, sign language is like a foreign language. And if you were involved with deaf people, you would understand. Now, you have no idea because you haven't really been around deaf people a lot. But, you know, when you meet if you were to meet several deaf people, then you would understand. Because you've never met deaf people, it's really hard to explain. And it's very hard for you to understand the differences.
I don't believe I've ever seen a deaf adult. How would I go about finding a deaf adult to come in and talk to my staff? Where are deaf people?
You could call the services for the deaf and hard of hearing, the deaf club. You can look there. You know, you're right. You know, it's hard for you to just look at the different people and say, I've never met a deaf person, because you can't really tell a deaf person just based on sight until you would walk up and try to talk to them. Then you would realize that they were deaf.
Or maybe I just think you were rude and ignoring me. But you're right. I don't think I've ever noticed anybody deaf at the grocery store or at the bank. But I think that's a good suggestion. If we could have somebody, we could find somebody deaf to come in and talk with our staff. I will try to set that up for the next workday. Have somebody come in and talk with the staff and explain. But in the meantime, I think maybe I would like to set up a meeting with you and Mrs. Fowler and myself to talk about the problems and see if we can come up with some solutions. What would be a good time for you?
Well, I work all day, so maybe 4 o'clock, and school gets out.
School is over at 3:30.
Yeah, 4 o'clock would probably be the best.
Is one day better than another day for you?
It really doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can call me before in advance, not like at the last minute, and then we can set up a time. If you call me through the relay, are you familiar with that term?
No, I've never heard of relay. What's that?
Well, it's like on your phone bill. You've never looked at your phone bill?
Just the amount.
Oh, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that do that. But every year, or every month, there's a little bit taken out of your phone bill every month to support this. So you call the relay center, and the relay will call me. And you'll be able to talk, and I will use a device called a TDD, and I'll be typing, and that's how we can talk on the phone.
Can you tell me what that is?
It's a telecommunication device for the deaf. It's like a typewriter. It's the same idea. You put the phone on it, and then you type back and forth. Do all deaf people
have those?
Most, yes, most.
Can you use that to call out of your home?
Yes. I can, like if you have a TDD, I can call you directly, but if you don't have one, then I have to call through the relay center, and we communicate through the relay operator.
I've never seen one of those. Do you think we ought to have one of those in the school office?
Yes. It would be good. It would be nice if you could do that. The problem is that most of the people here would see a TDD and would just kind of, ignore it. They would just kind of be bored with that. You would need with some training, it would be okay.
Would the deaf adult that comes to train the staff know about a TDD? Would he be able to teach us how to use one?
Oh yes, yes. Most of the deaf adults would know. When you call, you find a deaf person, ask them if they have a TDD and if they can explain how to use it. And if they say no, then try to find somebody else.
So if I were going to call a deaf person, I would need to use relay?
If you have a TDD, you don't have to. If you don't have a TDD, then yes, you do need to use the relay.
How would I get that number? Is relay listed in the telephone book?
Well, I can give you the number, or you can call the services for the deaf and hard of hearing, and
How
they
would
can
I
tell
get
you.
that number? Are they listed in the telephone book?
Oh yeah, they are.
Do you know that number?
Yes, I do. It's 1-800-735-8262. That's for the voice, not line, just to call regularly. But for the TDD line, the number is, let me think, 2462, yeah.
Okay, tell me that again. I will need to remember that.
You want me to slow down or go fast? Which one? Okay, 1-800-735-8262 for the calling regularly, and then calling through the TDD is 2962.
You have been very helpful today, and I am confident that we will be able to resolve this problem with your child, and no one will be picking on him anymore. I will talk with Mrs. Fowler and arrange a date, and then we will call you through Relay, North Carolina, and set up an appointment for us to talk. And I will call the Division of Services for Deaf and Hard of Hearing and see if they can recommend a person to come do some in-service training with our staff. It was really nice talking with you today, Mr. Clark. I appreciate you coming in and letting us making us aware of this problem, and I feel confident that we'll be able to resolve it.
I just want to kind of warn you, if the problem is not resolved, then I will be removing my son from your school and taking him
Well,
to another
we
school.
certainly don't want that to happen. We want to work with you, and we want to make sure that your son is happy here at school.